Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad ZAIRY bin JAMALUDIN and I am going to voice over what we have done on our lab 4 disc brake system session.
First of all, we jack the car at considerable height and place axle stand under the car. We unscrew the wheel nuts and then put the tire under the vehicle so it will not obstruct when we do our assembly later. We then proceed to unscrew the lock pin and the hydraulic cable that attach on cylinder body, and then open another 2 screws on the mounting bracket. We then use pressure gun to exert force into hydraulic brake hole to force the piston to come out of the cylinder body.
Tangan dia tekan mana? Emang kau.
To get the thickness reading of brake pad, we first measure the overall thickness and then subtract it with the thin part of the pad. We measure the disc thickness in 6 parts by having 6 different areas on the disc to measure. To inspect the contact area between this brake surface and the brake pad, we chalk the disc brake surface and then rub it with brake shoes. And then we observe the contact area on the brake shoes. For run-out measurement, we use die gauge to observe the surface condition of the disc brake, whether it's rough or smooth. We also inspect the lock pin straightness by using the die gauge as well. Now we already finished our measurement reading, so all we have to do now is to refit this brake assembly. So first we put back the piston into the cylinder body. Now for the full on disc brake reassembly. So first we already have the disc brake from the runout measurement, and then we fit in the mounting bracket, screw it with the 2 screws. After finish tightening, put the brake shoes back on the mounting bracket. Then screw the cylinder body back to its position, but make sure you already fit in the hydraulic cable.
Tangan je lah. Dah try tadi, tak nak. Dah nak siap dah tu. Apa yang tangan? Tu tangan.
Once we done tightening the lock pin for the cylinder body, we can now proceed to assemble back the tire. We can now check the car again to remove the axle stand from the car.
My name is SYAFFA'AFIQAH binti AZHARI, 0919018. Okay, today I'm going to explain to you about brake disc component, which is drum brake. First we have a drum, which is to protect the inner brake part, and then we have a adjuster lever here, which is to ensure that the brake shoe remain a similar distance from the drum as the shoe wear down. Okay, next we have a hold down spring pin, which is pins keep the whole down spring in place, while the spring allow the brake shoe to move when necessary. Okay, next we have a return spring, these two, which is to pull the brake shoes off the brake drum when the brake pedal is not being pressed. Okay, next we have a brake shoe. Brake shoe is to contact the drum and cause friction. Next we have anchor pin, which is this pin align the adapter plate and keeps the plate and gear operator from moving while the valve is operated. Okay, next we have a wheel cylinder. Okay, its function is when brake fluid enter the wheel cylinder, it pushes the seal or piston outward, causing the brake shoes to contact inside the drum. Okay, next we have a parking brake lever, the yellow one, which is force the forward shoe into the drum. Okay, next we have a adjuster assembly. This adjuster can ensure proper brake application and pedal height. Okay, next we have brake shoe lining here. They press against the drum to produce friction. Okay, next we have a backing plate. So backing plate is to hold the braking system together.
Hi, my name is RUZATUL with RASLAM. In this lab 4 disc brake, I will talk about the condition of disc brake parts. The first one is the wear indicator is in good condition. Then the disc brake surface is rusty when we check. However, it still can be used. Next, the outboard and the inboard brake shoe pad. For both condition is rusty. The outboard thickness is 6.87 mm. Then the inboard thickness is 6.26 mm. So, for information that the ideal thickness of brake pad is more than 6.4 mm for brake functioning. So for both brake shoe is still can be used and no need for replacement. Then the piston and the cylinder bore is in good condition. Next, for the inspection of lab 4 disc brake, we run out the measurement and we find out that more toward negative value because of the groove. Then we do the disc thickness measurement and we take 6 measurements. Then we do the rub test. However, only 20% that touch between the surface of the disc brake. Then we do the test of guide pin or lock pin straightness that we find more toward positive value because of the bumping.
Okay, for lab 4, question 1. Based on your finding, what's the condition of brake pad? Should it be replaced with new pad? First, the circumstance of outboard and inboard brake pads are different according to our findings. Second, to slow down the car and improve safety, use a thicker brake pad with higher friction material. Third, for proper braking operation, the brake pad thickness should be greater than 6.4 mm. Lastly, brake pads must be at least 3.2 mm thick to be reliable. Otherwise, they must be replaced immediately. For question 2, List two causes of rotor thickness variation. First, lateral round up that is extensive. The rotor wobbles back and forth from its position, which is known as lateral round up. Second, over time, frequent contact with the brake pad wears out that area of the rotor, or the brake pad material is unevenly distributed across the rotor surface. Next question for question 2. What is the correct repair procedure of thickness variation? Okay. First procedure is remove the tires by loosening the lug nuts and raising up the car a little to have better access to the rotor. Second, put the removed wheels underneath the car for further safety in case the jack stand fails. Using a vernier caliper, measure the thickness of the rotor. Okay, to measure round up in the rotor and hub assembly, use a dial gauge. Always check the amount of round up in a rotor and hub assembly with a dial indicator, both before and after the rotor has been machined. Then reassemble the wheels and torque the bolts and lug nuts to the manufacturer's specifications. Let's test the vehicle on the road. So we go to next question 3. What do you understand about round up measurement data? When a part is rotated 360 degrees around the datum axis, round up refers to how much one or more reference features fluctuated with regard to another datum. It is essentially a control on the amount of variation a circular feature has with the rotational axis. Any feature that rotates around an axis can be called out for round up. It's essentially the amount of wobble in one portion feature when compared to another. Next, for question 4. What is your finding for the guide pin or lock pin straightness check? And what can happen to your disc brake system if guide pin or lock pin is not straight? Based on our finding for the guide pin and lock pin straightness check, it was in good condition or good working order. A circular motion test is used to verify the straightness. When a force was supplied to the guide pins for a circular motion on a ground surface, they were never stuck on while rotating. If guide pin or lock pin is not straight, the caliper won't move. It could be due to bent or stuck guide pins. If the guiding pins are not straight, you will hear noises or have trouble stopping when driving. The brakes may become stuck. So here's the conclusion. Based on the results of this laboratory, we can determine if the disc brake assembly is in excellent working order or not. Disc brakes are an important component of vehicle that we must pay attention to in order to ensure our safety. Not only that, we can identify each of the components on the brake disc by their names, and each component has its own function. Finally, we get expertise removing and reconnecting the disc brake. Thank you.